Hi mommies and daddies, welcome back to Momcom India. So in this video we will be talking about pacifiers, and what I'm going to share in this video is my experience with pacifiers. My son is now 2 years old, so I'll be sharing whether I used it or did not use it, number one. Second, I'll be sharing about what are the advantages of pacifiers. Why do parents typically end up giving pacifiers? Number three, we'll be talking about the disadvantages as to why do parents not give pacifiers to kids. And lastly, I'll share some tips with you in case you as a parent make the choice of going ahead and giving a pacifier to your baby. So there's a lot to look forward to in this video. If you do like it, please hit on the like button. Also share it with all the pregnant women or all the new moms, because I think this is one thing that is on their mind for sure, and they really want to know about whether to go ahead with pacifiers or not. अगर आप एक हिंदी व्यूअर हैं तो इस टॉपिक का हिंदी वर्जन हम अपने चैनल पे कल पोस्ट कर चुके हैं. So let's get started. So let's start by our experience. So before our baby was born, we also, like a lot of parents, were absolutely ready with things that we will need for a newborn baby. We had done our research, we had bought all the essential items or products or things that you will need for your newborn baby. And as part of our research through internet, through word of mouth, one of the things that made it to our newborn baby essential list was pacifiers. We had bought 2 good quality different brand pacifiers at that point of time, with an understanding that in the initial months babies end up crying quite a lot, and pacifiers help to soothe a crying baby. But post our baby was born, we eventually realized that the only way babies can communicate is through crying. Now a baby's cry does not mean that a mother or a father does not know what they are doing, does not understand their baby, or don't know how to handle or take care of their baby. A baby's crying really means that he needs something to be soothed. It could be hunger, it could be diaper, it could be temperature, it could be skin irritation, it could be boredom, it could be the need to walk or crawl or roll over or do basically something, but there has to be an underlying need, and that underlying need can never be a pacifier. So what your baby really needs is for you to understand that need and respond accordingly, so that the baby can be given the comfort or baby can be soothed or calmed. Now that's the approach that we took. It definitely took us time because we are also new parents. It was a lot of trying and testing, hits and tries. Maybe the baby wants this, maybe the baby wants that, but eventually the more time we spent understanding our baby's needs and cries, the better we became at it, basis which we did a video also sharing our experience on why do babies cry and how can you respond accordingly. And finally and thankfully we ended up never using a pacifier. Our baby is now 2 years, has crossed major milestones like all the babies do in the initial years, and he's crossed all of these without the use of a pacifier. So I'm so thankful that we did not have to finally end up giving something that is artificial, and we did not have to worry about weaning that thing off, which every parent would end up having to do. So that's my experience. Now let's talk about what are some of the reasons why parents give pacifiers. So basically, what are some of the advantages of pacifiers? Number one advantage, like I also spoke about, is comforting the baby. A lot of parents end up giving a pacifier when they are unable to soothe a baby, or a baby is very fussy, crying too much, and suddenly they see when you put a pacifier in the baby's mouth, the baby is feeling calm and relaxed or comfortable or soothed. Now, there are no studies which directly link a babies being calm to a pacifier, but since parents see that it has helped their baby, they continue to use it as a practice, and that's how the use of pacifier comes into their entire journey. So that's the number one reason why parents end up doing that. They see that it helps their baby to sleep, they see that it helps their baby to become calm when the baby is very fussy, and they end up using it. Second reason is that some babies are given pacifiers so that they can learn how to suck. In very rare cases, doctors would suggest giving pacifiers to babies who have heart problems or who have breathing problems, or there's a lot of effort gone into teaching them how to suck but they are unable to suck. So doctors recommend that for some time in the day, a few minutes, give them the pacifier so that they can learn the art of sucking. Because what happens is that if the baby is not able to suck well on the nipple, that means the baby will not get the required nutrition, which means the baby's health will get impacted, and hence the parents also and the doctors also end up using the pacifier for some part of the day to teach the baby sucking, which will be helpful for their health. So that's the second reason where you will see a lot of parents using pacifier. The third reason is avoid thumb sucking. Now you'll notice that about 3 to 4 months Now you'll notice when a baby is around 3 to 4 months, they start sucking their thumb, they start putting a couple of fingers in their mouth. It could be due to teething, it could be just generally a habit that they are developing, and parents really do not want that because it impacts their skin. The skin becomes swollen. Also, if the baby when the baby starts to get teeth, there are chances that the baby might just cut himself or herself. So they end up giving a pacifier, which will then not harm the baby's skin or body. So that also can be one reason when parents use it. The last reason that's also common is that parents use it while traveling, especially air travel, because what happens is that during travel, while takeoff and landing, the ears get closed. Now for us, it's easy to open our ears up or to take that pain, but for babies it can be really troublesome. So doctors always suggest that while landing and takeoff, the baby should suck on something. Now typically that something can be your breast or can be a bottle of milk, but parents fear that at times what happens if the baby is not hungry, what happens if the baby does not want to take milk at that time. So they end up taking a pacifier, which they can give in state of emergency. If the baby does not take milk, then give a pacifier and then calm the baby or help him not go through the ear pain during travel. So these are some of the reasons that parents will give you where they've been using pacifiers and it has been working fine with them. But at the same time, there is a list of disadvantages or a lot of problems that parents face when it comes to using pacifiers also, and hence parents want to avoid pacifiers. Number one reason is it becomes a habit. Now, you don't want another habit that you will have to have your child give up or you will have to have your child wean off, because as it is so much to do. You have to wean off your child from the breast, from the bottle, you have to let go of the diapers, you have to sleep train your child. There's just so much that you have to do with a child that you don't want dependency on something which will become a habit and it will be hard to give up, and hence parents don't want to get into the process only of giving a pacifier and then later taking it off. Now let me share my experience with you. So my mom tells me that I as a baby was a very fussy baby. I used to cry a lot. I did not used to sleep well till about 3:30 in the night. I won't sleep and I will cry quite a lot. So basis the word of mouth, everybody used to suggest to my mom that give her a pacifier or a soother as it was called at that time, and my mom also ended up doing that, and eventually my dependency was so high that it took me a long time to give it up. So I finally gave a pacifier when I was 3 years of age. So you can imagine how hard it must have been for my mom to see me going through the entire process of depending on a pacifier. So definitely not something that you'd want to do, because if it becomes a habit and if you don't wean it off at the right time, it becomes really hard. And when the kid goes to school, it kind of becomes quite a lot of pressure that the kid is still having a pacifier. It can impact the morale also of the kids. Kids these days at very young age have started having confidence issues. So definitely not one thing that you want to carry on for longer. The second disadvantage is that in some cases it actually also leads to nipple confusion. So while I spoke about the advantage where in some cases it teaches the child how to suck, but in a lot of cases it also leads to nipple confusion. The child becomes so comfortable with the pacifier, with the texture, with the shape, with the size, that when the child comes on the mother's breast, the child finds it very uncomfortable or very hard, that the child has to put in so much effort to get some milk, and eventually the child does not want the mother's milk through the breast milk process or the breastfeeding process. Now that means that you are taking away the child's nutrition, you are impacting the child's health, child's weight gain, child's overall development. The exponential development that happens in the initial years is being affected, which is not right for the child. The third disadvantage is disturbed sleep. Now, while on one hand a lot of parents believe that giving a pacifier soothes the baby or calms the baby to sleep eventually, what also is seen that when you take that pacifier off when the baby is sleeping, the child gets disturbed and keeps getting up over and over again. Now you definitely don't want that, because sleep is something that is really important for young children, and I'm talking about very calm and sound sleep here, because that's when their brain development is happening the most. Their skin is recovering, their body is recovering from all the activity of the day. So you really don't want something that's going to disturb their sleep. So better not use it than use it and then disturb your child's sleep, and then train your child over again on the whole sleep thing. Number 4 is hygiene, especially in a country like ours where pollution level is so high, there is dust all around, the viruses spread so easily. Hygiene is something that is not carefully taken care of, and hence a lot of people don't want to depend on these artificial things that remain in the baby's mouth for such a long time, because these things can cause the infection to get into the baby's body very easily. Stomach infections, viruses, these are very common with kids who use pacifiers if they are not used hygienically. So that's something that you really need to take care of. Also with pacifiers, other kids find it to be very interesting. They will come, they will want to use it, touch it with dirty hands, put it in their mouth, and imagine that your child puts the same pacifier in his mouth is not something that you would want. So hygiene is something that has to be really dealt very well. If you don't deal with it very well, then you are opening all the doors to infection directly entering your child's mouth for a long period of time. Hence pacifiers are generally avoided. Number 5 is ear infection. Although there's no study that confirms the direct link between ear infection and pacifier, but in some cases it has been seen that kids who complained of ear infection were also taking pacifiers. Hence that's avoidable and parents don't want to use it. Number 6 is that it also can lead to dental problems, and by dental problems I mean that the upper teeth can be slightly forward and the lower 2 teeth, the front teeth, can be slightly backward. And I'm smiling here because I can give my own example here. While again there's no study that has a direct link between it, but again dentists and doctors have seen that some kids who had these problems, the front 2 teeth coming forward compared to the lower teeth, they were using pacifiers in some cases. So I'm a live example of that. I use pacifiers till about 3 years, like I already told you, and I have this problem. I don't know if it's linked to that, but since I have the problem, I always try to link it back to the pacifiers. So because of this reason also, it's something that you can definitely avoid. So by the end of this video, I've clearly called out why parents give pacifiers and why parents don't give pacifiers, or what are some of the problems that parents have seen post giving pacifiers. Now the decision or the choice is totally yours. If you really feel that no, you are a strong parent who would want to give the pacifier because that's the only thing that's going to help your baby in one of the circumstances or one of the situations that I told you, go ahead with it, but take care of everything, all the disadvantages that I've told you proactively, so that you don't end up in a situation where you are worried about using pacifier. And if as a parent you decide that no, you would want life to nurture or grow naturally without dependency on these artificial things, then definitely don't go ahead with pacifiers. Just in case you still want to go ahead with it, couple of things that you need to keep in mind. Always buy a good quality pacifier from a well trusted brand. Pacifiers are in plastic, so make sure they are BPA free. That's very important. You must read it while buying the pacifier. Make sure that the size is right. Like with bottles, the nipple size has to be adjusted as the baby grows. With pacifiers also, the size has to be right. Otherwise your child will end up sucking a lot of air, which can cause a lot of gas or tummy problems for your baby. Make sure that the pacifiers are never shared. If you have 2 children in the home or your child plays with some other children, they should not end up sharing the pacifier. Make sure that the pacifier is sterilized from time to time so that you maintain proper hygiene. Do not dip the pacifier in honey, sugar or anything sweet and then give it to your baby, because you are directly impacting the baby's health. And lastly, the best time to wean off your baby from a pacifier or to give up a pacifier is between 6 to 12 months. That's the best stage. Massive development is happening at that stage. Your baby's brain is so busy with learning so much, like crawling, like walking, like sitting, like rolling over, like playing, motor skills, and basically a lot of skill development, lot of body physical development, brain development is happening. So at this stage it will be still easier for you to let your baby forget pacifier completely compared to the stages coming ahead, because as your baby grows and as your your baby continues to use a pacifier, this will become a habit that will be very, very hard to give up. So I hope you found this video to be helpful. If yes, please click on the like button. My request is that please do not ask me that if you're using a pacifier, how do you wean your child off, or how do you make your child give up a pacifier, because I am not experienced with it and I will not be able to share any knowledge or any information on it, because people around me also are not using pacifiers quite a lot. So that's not a question that I'll be able to answer. But apart from that, if you have anything, please feel free to let me know. Make sure you share this video and help all the new moms or the moms to be out there, because this is something that will really help them. Trust your child. You will definitely know your child over a period of time, but you will have to make the effort rather than depend on artificial things like these. So with that said, we've come to the end of this video. Like, share, subscribe, and thank you so much for loving Momcom India.